Go with the Flow radio station. It's 8 o'clock. Good morning, and it's good to be back for the headline analysis. That's where we analyze some of the stories I brought to you at 7 o'clock. My name is Adeyemi.
I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.
And we have Nicholas Waronoye in the studio this morning. Nicholas, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so
Monday
much.
through Friday. It's been an amazing. How's the week been so far?
Wow, it's been fantastic so far.
All righty. Good to have you. Let's get right into our conversation this morning. But first, we need to state that some views to be expressed on the program is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by the analyst Nicholas Waronoye this morning. And from the reactions and contributions that we get from the callers, we are not in in total support. So rather, it's not the position, it's not our place for as regards their comments this morning. Let's just state that. And we're also streaming live on all social media platforms.
On Facebook at FlowFMNG and on YouTube at FlowFM927. So you can get on any of these apps and get on the live action happening in the studio right now. Let's get into the conversation real quick. The Nigerian government has updated its basic education curriculum by adding 15 new trade subjects aimed at equipping students with practical skills to enhance their employability. So things like plumbing, tiling, event management, garment making, digital literacy, solar installation, and even agriculture.
Yeah, and I think it's coming behind schedule, if I might add, because when you look at it, even in Kwara State here, you have that already happening. You know, Kwara State through the suburb, has different agricultural, vocations in different schools. The last time I met a Professor Adaramaja, he showed me some of those things. He showed me that the students are the one in charge of the farms. I'm talking of livestock farms. I'm talking of, growing of cassava. You have students like we used to have it in those days. And before then, Edo State started something like that under Godwin Obaseki, where he encouraged the construction companies to start taking students from the government technical college. And the reason for this is because, a lot of skill set has been lost. Let me just tell you this, you might be surprised that the best tilers are not Nigerians in Nigeria.
Yes.
Togolese, Beninois, plumbing and all those things. They've taken over virtually all those things that are money generating. So there is a need to go back to that, to make Nigerian students more hands-on than just about education, And don't forget that, right on this platform, I did say that, about 900 skill sets are just there vacant that could take up to 30 million young Nigerians that can engage them, gainfully. That is there. That is according to, UNICEF and the Nigerian Employment Consultative Forum with ITF. They did that study and it's there. So I think it's behind schedule. The government coming up at this time is behind schedule, but it's a welcome development.
Quickly, let's look at about the sustainability. How do they get resource persons to actually, go into with all of the schools that we have across the country? Do we have the manpower to reach capable hands to actually meet this?
I think there are, because what you need essentially is to get people who can come on short-term basis to do some of those things, to show them how to do things like that. And again, that is creation of employment opportunities for people, who are outside the school system to come in and show their skills. You understand? So I think the manpower is there. All they need to do is just broaden, the technical school, people who have gone through technicals like Polytechnic and things like that, have educational background to come into the educational system and show them how to do things. It's another challenge really, but I think it's something that is surmountable. I think we can work out an arrangement. I think the school system can work out an arrangement. If Suburb in Kwara State can do it, I think everybody else should be able to do it.
Okay. All right. So in relation to that as well, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, speaking at the 2025 World Economic Forum in Davos, also talked about, Nigeria investing in education and smart agriculture and saying that African youths are pivotal to this transformation and that this will help, propel the continent forward.
Yeah, and the vice president went there to sell Nigeria.
Yeah.
That is what it's all about. He's trying to get a partnership from, other countries to look into that educational sector and see how we can partner. and grow Nigerians. And Nigeria has no, we don't have any other choice other than looking to how we can employ the youthful, energies that we have in the country. We are talking about almost, is this 60-70% youthful population? That's what we are talking about. The demography is about youth. So there is a need to give them engagement. And that forum is the right place to, sell, the federal government's policies and see if we can get partners in that area to come and do business with us.
All right, let's look at this. The federal High Court in Abuja officially prescribed the Lakurawa sect a terrorist group, describing it as a terrorist organization. Did we have to wait this long for the courts to declare Lakurawa is a terrorist organization, or from all of the activities, is it clear that he's a terrorizing organization?
Yeah, this thing takes a process.
All right.
And we have to give it to them. Boko Haram took longer. It took longer before it was declared as a terrorist organization.
Even after all of the...
Yeah, it took longer. So we have to give it to federal government because there is a process that you must go through before you declare a group as terrorist organization. You have to profile reasons why they are terrorists. It is not easy when a court, to declare a group as as a terrorist organization is like putting them on the red flag, zone. That nobody should do business. If you do any business with that organization anywhere in the world, you are declared an enemy of Nigeria. That's what it means. So it's not a process that you just wake up in the morning and just do. It might just be some misguided miscreants doing things like that. And when you do that, it's a lifelong, you have put a lifelong ban on their head. It's like putting a bounty on their head. So I think coming about this time, we are giving bite to the fight against that terrorist group. So it's a welcome development.
With the declaration, is it going to be? Do you think the federal government will be all out to just cap them?
Oh yeah, exactly. Because when it's like you are declared an enemy combatant. So there is no. It's like an act of war. You have declared an act of war on that organization. So everything within the Geneva Convention that we can use to take down an enemy has to be. You have to deploy it. So that's what it means. If they are not terrorists, there are certain offensive actions that you can take against them.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah. So because you'll be found wanting in the areas of human rights violation and things like that. So, but with a terrorist organization, it's an all-out war.
All right, well, let's move to this one, talking about the Minister of Power, Adedayo. He's emphasizing that the budget allocation has been misunderstood, and he's clarifying that it was not intended for billing awareness, as the discos are already responsible for covering that. Like you said, was it yesterday we talked about it?
About a few days ago.
Yeah, yesterday.
That the focus is on preventing vandalism and ensuring the continued stability of Nigeria's power supply.
Sometimes I get this feeling that maybe these guys are listening to our program after all, because that was exactly what we were saying here, that, we need to improve on surveillance. There are several technologies available. And if you recall, there was a controversy, when Amechi was the transport minister, that there was a technology that they wanted to introduce. That is, the moment you touch the rail line, some kind of alarm goes off. It tells you, it pinpoints the exact place where the thing is happening. You understand? You can have that kind of a process. You can have that kind of technology installed in our infrastructure. It's like a signaling thing. It's with all this, growth in, drone, in surveillance, in geospatial, imaging, and all those things. There are lots of options, even locally, that can be developed. So, if that is what the minister is saying, then I think it's in order, because he has the duty to protect the infrastructure too. So, if that is what he is saying, then fine, that is okay. But this idea of, maybe it was the way he presented the matter and said he was going to sensitize, sensitization and things like that. And I still hold firmly, because he still mentioned about this issue of a sensitization. I think it is not within his purview. That is way beyond his ken. They should allow the National Orientation Agency to handle things like that so that we can save resources. Yeah.
Now, will this put to end, destruction of, the
It
power
will
infrastructure if it's properly implemented?
If it's properly implemented, yes, it will reduce, but you cannot exactly eliminate such, such vices. Even in developed countries, you still have glitches here and there. So we need a significant reduction in the destruction of our infrastructure, power infrastructure, so that we can have steadier power supply.
And let's move to Lagos this time. Lagos State launches safety emergency marshals to prevent market fires. Now, market inferno is not just peculiar to Lagos. We've had a couple of incidences here in Oja Tuntun, and then properties worth millions and billions of naira have been lost. Is it a very positive move by the Lagos State government, and how can other states look into this that Lagos State government is trying to do?
Yeah. As much as I commend that move, I think it's putting the cart before the horse. Because you see, look, what would have been more effective is improving on insurance, market insurance. When you have market insurance who insist on safety measures, putting safety measures in place, then government can key into it and bring in marshals. You understand? You see, because marshals, are just about safety, but it doesn't mean. But when it happens, because it's not as if it's going to totally eliminate the risk. You understand? But when it happens, where does the compensation come from? And if you look at it, for over a decade now, more than a decade, you're talking of close to 20 years after that. What's it called? This consolidation of the banking sector. An effort was made to look into the insurance aspect too. And one of those things that we saw, at that time was there was a need to have all this market insurance. If you have a business in the marketplace, it must be insured. And considering the fact that insurance, as per GDP is just about 1 or 2%, all this while. So, we have to, as much as that move is salutary, I think another effort has to be made into getting those markets where you have high, where there is a lot of finances, where finances are tied up. It must be insured so that, we don't have much losses when we have a case of an inferno. Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the market structures. When we're talking about, the markets insurance thing, if you look at so many states, the setup of some of these markets are not well organized. How is it? Do we have to wait for a time where the markets are well organized? Government comes into the construction and building and setting up a market, and then the insurance can come in, rather than where we have when just Nigerians see an open space, one person starts it and it turns into a market.
Yeah, you see, another big problem that we have, well, maybe challenge. Let me not use the word problem, is because most of our markets are informal. So that is a very big problem on its own. Because first and foremost, we have to do a thorough capture of all these market hubs. Both with commodity trading in, all markets must be captured one way or the other, either through the tax net or in the areas of insurance, or in the areas of survey, in the areas, the number of traders that we have, in the number of cooperative market cooperatives that you have. You need to have that first. Then on that basis, you can plan whether government is to build or government is to encourage private sector to go into building markets. For me, I think it is better you have a PPP thing, where government and the private sector partner to grow markets. So especially in the rural area, because that place is left unexplored, and I think it has a huge potential of adding tax, into the government coffers.
Okay. Well, let's move into this conversation where the federal government has approved a 4 billion naira cash transfers to vulnerable households, and then the opposition is questioning the transparency in this transfer allocation and saying that it could be misappropriated and distributed to members of the ruling party.
It's not a case of it can be. That is what normally happens. And government are kind of incapacitated. The president, the ministers, they are kind of incapacitated. They can't do otherwise. We are talking of people who believe that they put the government there, and they have to benefit. They have to repatriate certain things to their constituency. You understand? You see, so it is not peculiar to Nigeria. As a matter of fact, it is more of, that is how, the politics and governance grew over time. It's an evolutionary thing. You understand? They believe that once you're in power, you have to repatriate some goodies back home. So what the political parties are saying is that, look, the government is supposed to be for all Nigerians. When you look at the palliatives that you've been doing, you discover that most of this, when they say go and bring the ward head, it is the man that is in charge of the party at the ward level that comes in. So who is he going to look at? He's going to look at the people who are within his constituency, people who can call out to come and vote for a certain candidate, and they will listen to him. So that is for them, that is the dividends of their own democracy. But in this instance where you want to do cash transfer, you have to consider that every Nigerian must be captured. And the suggestion over time has always been that this NACA, for instance, this National Consultative Forum, Employers Consultative Forum Assembly, and things like that, people that are non-partisan must be better involved in such disbursements, because apart from the fact that it is non-partisan, they have data. And of course, you have to make use of the Bureau of Statistics too, in terms of capturing, if they have any data that gives us a concise figure of vulnerable families. So how do you even determine a vulnerable family in the first instance? So those are some of the basic questions that I think the federal government need to answer very well before that disbursement goes out. That is the only way that you can see, it has been disbursed and a lot of people have been captured. There's financial inclusion. There is inclusion for every vulnerable person in the country, regardless of what party they belong to or whatever affiliation they belong to.
But why the I just want to ask this, because what raises the fear or the concern or the doubts? Let me put it that way. That when governments, not just the federal governments, across board, once they want to do this, conditional cash transfers, it raises a lot of doubts. It raises a lot of fear. Let me give you an example. The trader money, the one that the vice president was handling, Professor Yemi Osheba, the former vice president, trader money, market money, all of these things. Is it can I say, is it democratically backed up or constitutionally backed up?
Well, first and foremost, you must understand that government is there to take care of people, to make sure that the Nigerian citizen lives comfortably. So on the basis of that, those cash transfers, are sustainable. They are justified. That it's a way of lifting them up from suffering. You understand? So yes, but again, the Constitution is very clear about those who should benefit from government. Every citizen, regardless of party affiliation, regardless of religion, regardless of social status. So the moment he is in trouble, the government has a duty to lift him up. That is it. So that is captured. But the problem has always been that when they reach out, when they are looking for votes, there are certain channels they follow. You understand? They follow the market women, they follow, world level, they follow all those things. So in a way, it's just trying to say, okay, so we are grateful for your whatever. But when you do that, you leave out a lot of other sectors. Because in the first place, how many people vote anyway? You have to consider that. How many people vote? You see, look at the last time, we are talking of very low, this last 2023 election, we have a far lower number of people who came out to vote. So if you are going to base it on that, then a lot of Nigerians will be left out of the loop. So that is the lacuna there. So that is why it is better, to use this non-partisan organization. But again, there is a challenge too, because you see, people who join parties, mostly in this part of the world, is not about, because of they understand politics, or it's because they want to do a civic duty. They are doing it because of survival. It's as simple as that. That I give you my vote, then when this thing it comes to me. They see it as a legitimate right, which is not supposed to be so.
Well, social intervention is it's a global thing, and most countries, there might just be different names for it, but all captured under social interventions. And what is the plan? Because I know of America, it takes care of everybody, even the older citizens and all. Can such be, replicated in Nigeria? Not just, when we say, from the statement it says vulnerable Nigerians.
And they mentioned women,
vulnerable
widows,
Nigerians.
and people with disabilities.
Actually, sometimes, our governments, they like being clever by half. Because when you say vulnerable Nigerians, you are talking of people who are like the pensioners, for instance, and you have institutions that take care of pensioners. Are they registered in hospitals? Okay, reduce their bill when they go for all these, all those ailments that are incidental to people of that age. If they have to pay 10,000, let government take 5,000. So you can put all these conditional transfers to use there. Then you talk of people who, that is when you have when a mother gives birth, he needs certain things. So the moment you are captured within the general hospital, you have a package that is going to take care of the child for the first 3 months, like supplements like clothing, like medication and things like that. So why not put that money into all those places? That is where you can reduce the suffering, because when you talk of out of pocket payment for medication is so high in Nigeria. We are talking of something close to 10,000 naira. That is for one one go at a doctor. That is when you go for a clinical checkup and things like that, it's about 10,000 naira. That is the estimate that we have. So how many people can afford that? So those are some of these. And of course, in the area of hiring midwives, in the local hubs, put them on salary, put this money to use there, so that people don't have to go and meet quacks and things like that. Well, I'm talking of well-trained midwives, local midwives by government. Those are some of the things that can reduce the pressure, on the vulnerable.
All right. It was also captured that there would be that's the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Professor Nentawe Iwata, was saying that it would be they would focus more on conflict-affected regions, Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe.
Okay.
So away from elderly people and pregnant women, like you just said, and pensioners, the conflict where there is conflict.
Yeah, like all these IDPU, because you have all these big IDPUs all over the places, and you see, if I may, and if she's listening to this program by any means whatsoever, I think the administration of IDPU must be looked into, because I think, was it last year, there was a case that I was pursuing, that if you want to make any donation to IDPU, you have to settle the people there. You have to settle some government officials. And I'm saying it openly. And if they think, I will get the organization, and they have all the proofs. They wanted to distribute rice in Abuja. In fact, in Abuja, they wanted to distribute rice to IDPUs, and they told them they have to pay them or give them a percentage of what the good is. So, I didn't have enough time to pursue that. I think it was Cope Them. Yeah, that's the name of the organization. Cope Them. So it was a very strong. I can get people, they will talk about it if they as much as say that it's a lie. I will produce people who will say things like that. So if they are going to do that, they have to be very careful, about it, because that Nigerian corruption has got into that sector too.
All right. Well, we talked about how America has, a good thing in place for elderlies and stuff. So let's move to talking about Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship. There's a executive order now to stop that. A court ruling to put a halt to that.
Well, if I know Trump very well, I think he's going to fight it tooth and nail, fight it to the end. He's very determined about that. And for me, I think that if he's not careful, it might be a distraction. That might be the number one distraction he's going to have. Because how do you then that is we are talking of citizenship. You are going to strip people of their citizenship because of that. You understand? So, it's both a retroactive and draconian. You have to look at it. But if it's a case of, henceforth, it's more forward-looking, then maybe there might be some compromise. But at the end of the day, what I foresee is you are going to see a very tough legal battle in the days ahead. Because a lot of people are keyed into that, that thing. We are talking of diaspora, well, not diaspora, but people, within the immigration, but who are interested in America. So it's going to have a lot of interests. We are talking of travel agencies and things like that. So there is going to be a lot of pressure on Congress to have the President Trump, do a rethink on that policy.
From some of the reactions, a lot of people say it's constitutionally backed up, and then some are saying, well, President Trump is trying to work against what the Constitution says. And does he have the legal power, and how much of support will he get from the lawmakers?
It's going to be very difficult. Make no mistake about
then why
that.
pursue that?
That is the thing.
Is he probably well advised on that?
No, that is the thing about Trump. That is one of the things that make him unique. Trump works outside the normal norm. The what you think as conventional. Take a very good example. Take a look at the person he invited. The people he invited for his inauguration. Kumuyi. Have you thought of Reverend Father is it Pastor Kumuyi? Yeah. Williams Kumuyi and Bassi. Have you taken a look at why he asked for that man to come to his inauguration? What it simply tells you, from an analysis I was watching on BBC, is that the man is looking at the normal channel has been captured by the regular politician. So he's looking at other bigger, population, other bigger and people who are key in all those places. And one of them is the conservative religious bloc. You understand? So that tells you how the man thinks. That look, beyond this scope that we know, there are bigger population, there are people who are handling it that he can talk to. And that is what has been getting him results. So I think it is still within that frame of thinking that Trump is doing what he's doing.
Now, if you look at that, it was established in 1868 by that's the birthright citizenship by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, and it says, and I quote, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdictions thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside."
Well, like I said, what he's probably looking at is trying to amend that part of the Constitution. That is the only.
Okay, so you feel that is then rather shouldn't it be a push or a move for the amendment of the Constitution of that part of the Constitution rather than an executive order?
No, that should be what that is the logical move. But you see, over the years I have taken a look at the way Trump does his things. There is this very rather unconventional way of doing things. Maybe there are some readings that we are missing in that constitutional, provision, and when that law was made in 1868, what was the situation then? You have to look at that context. What was the intention behind that law?
It was as a result of African Americans, pushing for decades to be recognized as full citizens and part of the trio of amendments.
Now, what if it was a way of compensating African Americans who were brought in as slaves? Is their own compensation. So you are not talking of a case of immigration, people willingly coming here and flooding into their. Does the Constitution is meant to protect the country and protect the citizen. So if it is a case of, if there is a perceived threat from a kind of trend, you understand, don't you think that there might be a different interpretation of that law? That is my thinking. This is not, but it's still open to a lot of suggestions. It's still open to a lot of debate. And we are going to be seeing a lot of that in the days ahead.
Oh, truly we will. We'll keep our eyes on the story and we'll watch closely. And that's the size of the program for this week and for today. Thank you, Nicholas, for sharing your wealth of knowledge on some of these national and, international stories as it affects, Africans, as it affects Nigerians. Well, and before we just round off, and because we'll go back to, take a trip back to the United States. During the President Trump's inauguration, he made certain statements and declaration. Is that a direct, speech or statement to African leaders that stay where you are? Well, fix your country, fix your continent.
I think I would take that second interpretation. Go fix your country. Don't dump your people here. And I think it's a challenge that we should really take. In fact, I feel ashamed that that is at the policy level, any government should be kicking against that. I feel so ashamed. What it simply means is that, what is wrong with you guys? You mean you can't take care of your own country? You can't manage a place? Then why are you there? You understand? So it's a sense of, for me, as a proud Nigerian, I feel that we should be happy. We should see it as a big challenge to fix our country, so people don't have to do all these treks across the desert and do all manners of things. You pregnant your wife here, you take him there to go and give birth so that your child can be here and they could answer to another country and not your country and his country of where the father comes from. No. For me, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't.
All right.
I don't.
The views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by Nicholas Waronoya. Thank you very much this morning for coming. And the whole of the week has been an interesting, ride from Monday up until now. We look forward to another round on Monday, God willing, 8 o'clock to 8:30. Nicholas, have an amazing weekend, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Here to light up the city, 92.7.
We've never achieved anything from the subsidy removal.